Welcome back to the Race Brothers podcast. It's really nice to be here with Yaakov. It's been quite a while. The corona and all sorts of other things have taken their effect on us. But it's good to be back here with you all. And I'm really excited to explore the world that we're living in today. Hey, yeah.
Good to be back with you, Yehuda. And I'm loving what you did with the porch here. It's really nice. Porch slash studio.
Yeah, thank God. It's really been a major upgrade living and having this porch. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. So first of all, it's been like so long. We're in a new year, right? We're Tufshin Pei Aleph, and obviously we're still in Corona. We're still dealing with all the Corona jazz. Maybe you can kind of catch us up and catch me up and about where you're at.
It's been a wild ride. I mean, so many so much emotional bandwidth has been taken up by everything that's been going on that I kind of like it's taken over my life. Plus the fact that I've been so busy with work. Thank God I have work to do. So many people aren't. So whoever doesn't have work should be blessed
Man,
to uh to find good parnasa. But it's just been so busy. But a lot of good things have been going on. One thing that's the most amazing thing has been our minion in the park. We started this minion in the park like before Rosh Hashanah, a few weeks. We started out just with a Friday night minion, and it just built up. It started just a few chevra, like there's nowhere to daven. You can't daven in shul. We started davening in the park, and then we started coming up to Rosh Hashanah. We're like, all right, we got to get this thing moving. So we ended up having a huge minion for Rosh Hashanah in the park. Beautiful, beautiful,
yeah.
shady and gorgeous. And then the whole Sukkot.
Sukkos was unreal, unreal. The hollows in the park every single day. It was literally just an amazing abundance of tefillah, which you don't usually get on a regular year. You're always running around. You always have to go to all these different, you have responsibilities with the kids, responsibilities with the family, responsibilities to going out and doing stuff. Or there's also this certain feeling that I think a lot of people expressed that Stam, it was a much more relaxed Kolamoid because you're not having to do all these things, but the minion in the park flourished from that. It was amazing to be able to get out there. I wasn't there every single day. I think you were,
Yep.
but we had amazing minyanim. Just being able to go out there and just when you're there, there's no rush. The kids come to the park, the wives come to the park, everybody's involved. Kids can play around, run around. We're officially under lockdown, so you couldn't go anywhere, and you could just hang out in the park anyway. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It really
And
was.
then Chaim Goldberger built a sukkah in the park, a little sukkah, so we were able to go in and eat. It was small. You only fit like 5, 6 people in a shot, but it was open. So you go in, you go out, you make a bracha, you come out. No, it was something else. And my kids even said to me that this sukkah might have been the best sukkah ever because we just spent so much time hanging out together. And I think, strangely enough, probably shouldn't say this because it was illegal, but I spent less time in my sukkah this year than ever because everybody was home and everybody wanted visitors. And even though we weren't technically allowed, but what are you going to do? Sorry, I broke the rules and spent a lot of time in friends' sukkahs, and it was really beautiful. Um, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakoel niheh b'dvaro.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, I think that there was something about, and I think I always look back over the years trying to get to a place, trying to yearn of like, what was it like in the Beis Hamikdash, and what would it be like to be chogeg, kol shiva, kol shemaina, like when you're to be in the Beis Hamikdash, that experience, what is it like? And I definitely have tried over the years to visualize different things and to share it with my friends and with Chevra, with the Chaburas, like what we can kind of imagine what it would be like. A lot of it I draw from going to Kivrei Tzadikim, that idea of pilgrimage, so to speak, and also going to Uman, especially, right? You're going there for lachgog and to be with the Chevra, and there's a kibbutz. There was another aspect to that I think was threshed out a little bit or given a little more color and flavor over Sukkot, which is that experience and that feeling of being chogeg, getting up in the morning and you go to daven and you're just sitting there and playing music and you're davening to Hashem, and then you sit and you eat a meal And that's really what it would be like in the base of Mikdash, or on some level, you're coming, you're just spending hours davening, hours immersed in tefillah, immersed in shira, immersed in avodah, and then you go home and have a suda with the family, right? Even according to the shittas that the rabbanon that you don't have to have 14 meals on Sukkot, but it's still a good thing to do. And the tayel basukah, and you sit and we sit and you're eating and you're drinking.
Yeah, and hopefully it's Ishkamat Nas Yadai. Hopefully we'll have lots of gifts to give everybody, lots of shlamim, karbanos, and go and eat karbanos every day.
Yeah, tons of meat and wine and all the ma'aser sheni that we need to get to Yerushalayim. And it was funny that this kind of came out in a year that we couldn't even go to Yerushalayim. Mass transportation was not an option. And here we were, and we able to tap into yet another aspect. And it's cool. It's cool that Hashem always is shining some other unique light, even in times which could be frustrating and could be, dark. But there's always another light that's shining there. So l'chaim to that.
Yeah, it's always good to find, no matter what's going on, when you have the eyes that you're looking for what's good right now in my life, what can I celebrate? What can I be happy about? There's so much. There's endless amounts,
Mm-hmm.
And this Sukkot was such an experience of that, Zman Simchasenu, and I really feel I'm still living with the joy of Sukkot so much because it was so lichtig, and I hope I'm not making anybody jealous if anyone had they felt like tied down and locked down and they weren't able to get out. But you know what? We had you in mind, because when we davened this year, we mamish had the whole world in mind, consciously. Like a number of times we turned to each other and we're like, you know what? Everyone's shut down and we're getting together and having these amazing davenings and connection and singing, and we're doing it, we're really having the world in mind. So I hope some of that got out to people around the world.
Amen. I think it also was born in Rosh Hashanah. I know that for you and I, we spend the last 15, 16 years, we've spent most of those Rosh Hashanahs by Rabbi Nachman in Uman. And this year was a very unique year, especially for Brestovers. It became quite a hot topic. A lot of people that never have even been there put in their own 2 cents. And there was a lot of a lot of politics around the whole Uman experience and what is it anyway, and why are people pushing for it, and now it's just a lockdown, why are people going? And for me, it was also a very interesting year leading up to Uman, where normally it's like I'm working to get a ticket, I'm working to go and planning and all that, and with the Chevra. This year I took a different tact, and I didn't feel, well, we could get into the whole Uman story on its own thing. Anyhow, the point was that we weren't there. We didn't go to Uman this year. Some of our friends did, Baruch Hashem, and there were those that carried the torch to Uman. But this year was an incredible Rosh Hashanah. It was the type of Rosh Hashanah that I never could have even imagined having outside of Uman, which I know for some people are like mamish muttering sacrilege under their breath. But the truth is that for me, being in Uman, being by Rabbi Nachman,
many others are going, yeah,
right.
So I've been telling you for years,
right. But it was a type of Rosh Hashanah that was unreal. There was a crowning of the king that you mamish feel when, like Rabbi Nassim says, when you're in Uman, everywhere they're being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but in Uman you have this feeling that you're mamish lefnayu lefnim, and you're there putting the crown on the king's head. And this year I felt that we were doing that. I felt that, and it wasn't just me. I didn't even daven with you really most of Rosh Hashanah. You wanted to have the park minyan. I happen to like having like a little more seder, especially with all the different lockdown rules. I was like, I need something that I could be a little more tzumtzam. Maybe I'm the square in this relationship, which is fine.
Definitely.
So there I was having a part of a different minyan. We daven together at nights, which is beautiful. We daven Yom Kippur. We daven Ne'ilah together in the park. It was gorgeous. But Rosh Hashanah was lichtig, and so many people said it was so lichtig. Mamish brought an otherworldly energy down, and being in Eretz Yisrael and being with the family and being in a weird situation where we had to daven. I davened for the Amid on Rosh Hashanah for the first time in my life, which is something I kind of always wanted to do, but I didn't want to tell anybody. But it was a special thing. I davened Mincha.
Nice.
went easy. I didn't prepare. It was one of those things, and I just got up and I just like rocked it. I got like a little of the breast in, that I needed in there, a little bit of the Reb Shlomo Carlebach that I needed in there, but whatever. It was a little bit of our youth, a little bit of Beis Medrash L'Torah, BMT from Muncie. It was good. I got, but it was good. Listen, we were able to bring out what we see, and this Rosh Hashanah was special, and that specialness of Rosh Hashanah is brought in the new year, and it has been a very interesting new year with all the issues and all the tzimtzumim. There's been a certain chut shel chesed.
Yeah, there's also something about when you spend Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then Sukkos with the same chevra, and you connect through the davening again and again, and you go through the journey together of being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, accepting the Malchus, then the Kaparas Avonos, cleansing ourselves together, and then the joy that comes when you're with those same chevra together on Sukkos is out of this world.
Yeah.
So I also felt very strongly this year that Rosh Hashanah was something absolutely unique, and also, like, I spoke to so many people that felt they were mamish a shliach from Rabbi Nachman to be bringing the Uman energy to wherever they were. So many people said the same thing, and
in Eretz Yisrael, in America, all over, people were talking about this. There was a very, very special Indian. Talk about building the Malchus. The build the Malchus has to go from Elul into Rosh Hashanah, into Yom Kippur, into Sukkos. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to bring it into Hanukkah. As Hashem.
Yeah, very exciting. Something interesting also that I've been thinking a lot about was, I think for most people, the last normal Chag was Purim last year, right?
Right. Well, in Eretz Yisrael for sure.
Yeah, in Eretz Yisrael for sure. No, but I think even in America, when Pesach was already major, was heavy into Corona.
That's true. Everybody lives.
And there hasn't been a normal celebration of any Yontif since then. And so something I've been thinking about a lot, I think I told over to a lot of the Chaverim, was it's brought down that Purim is going to be the one, you're right, it says all the Yom Tov are going to be batal except for Purim, because Purim is Tishuasam Haisel and Netzach. It's going to last forever. So what does that mean? We think like we're going to get rid of Yom Tovim, we're not going to do them anymore. How can we survive without Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkos, Pesach, Hanukkah? How can we survive without this? But then it really came out to me on Rosh Hashanah. We were davening in the park, and just to describe a little bit of what our davening is like, it's not your grandfather's Rosh Hashanah. When we daven together, it's an explosion of singing and joy and dancing. And it's very festive. It's very Purim-like almost. Parts of it, obviously, parts of it are very recognizable Rosh Hashanah. But we're davening in the park. It's an open area, and I see people walking by, and they're kind of looking at us like, "What is going on over here? What is this Purim? What is happening?" Because nothing's normal, and I guess for us, it is normal. Like, we've been davening in Uman for years, and we've been davening in Karlbach Minyanim for years. So for us, davening, which is just an explosion of joy and singing and dancing, is normal. But if I would have put myself 20 years ago, 30 years ago as a kid coming from BMT, where it's a very, straight up Litvish davening, and then you walk into this davening in the park where it's like, what on earth I do not recognize this. This doesn't seem like Rosh Hashanah right now. And then on the second day Rosh Hashanah, I went to a friend after davening, and they were still davening in the house over there. They had tekias, and they had a kiddush, and I didn't eat my meal yet. I was sitting around, and I had a really nice experience. I said to Pika Nikolai, my friend, had a big picture. Yaakov Yosef and Scheindel has a big picture of him and his kids at the Sion of Rabbi Nachman saying to Pika Nikolai. I didn't even think about it. I sat there and I said, you know what? I felt like I needed to say the Pika Nikolai. And then I sat there and I'm saying it, and I look up, and there's a picture of the sea, and I was like, oh, that's good. Kind of like when you're in Uman and it's the end of Rosh Hashanah and you feel like, I need to get in another Tikkun HaKlali. I don't know what to do. I need to do something spiritual. I need to connect. So I sat and I did that. And then I walked out and I walked home. I told my wife, we're going to meet up for the meal. We didn't eat the meal. It's been a long day. We're going to meet up before Shkio, meet at home, because we had things to do. We had avodas to do. We had people to see. We had things to do, accomplish. So I'm walking home on Rosh Hashanah afternoon, the second day. The sun is setting, and there was this peacefulness in the air, this quiet peacefulness. There were people all over in the parks, talking and walking, but very calm, very ruhig. Ruhig. I love that word. It's one of my favorite Yiddish words. Ruhig. And Shkoyach Eli Klein. And and it felt like that feeling on Purim afternoon, after all the party in the streets dies down and most people are already in their homes doing the Purim Suda, and there's a certain stillness in the air, but a good, happy energy. And I suddenly felt like it was Purim afternoon. And I said to myself, Yaakov, it feels like Purim. What's going on? I said, well, it's going to be, all the Yom Tov are going to be Purim. So it's Purim right now. And we know that, Simchas Torah is mamash already Purim. And so maybe we're going to draw that Purim energy into all the Yom Tov. And like Reb Levish says,
Teishnas Purim Ein Sofi.
Kavshin Pei Aleph. Teishnas Purim Ein Sofi.
Yeah.
And then, so maybe that's what's going to happen. Who knows? But we are already all walking around with the masks. I'm sure everybody is ready hopped onto that Torah, that the masks all day, Purim.
Right. The masks went on last year Purim and they haven't come off. Except for those that are against the masks, we're not making an issue.
That's true. The Raice brothers, we're very, whatever you're into, we're into also. We support you.
Yeah, especially with regards to this. What a crazy world we're living in. Mamish. It's interesting. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say about, like you mentioned, the idea of Rosh Hashanah from when we were kids to what it means to me now. It's interesting how Rosh Hashanah as a kid was a very somber experience. It was very much, the focus was, I'm getting judged and who knows if I'm going to live or die. And Rosh Hashanah now for me definitely carries still a thread of that, but it's much more about being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like the whole thing is, Hashem, you're my king, you're my God, you're my everything. And I want to see the whole world just screaming Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I want to see every moment. You even turn to me, you're like, Yehuda, like, I think one time maybe you should daven for Parnasa the way the way we daven for like Hashem's name to be great in the world. Like, who knows? Maybe we'd mamish bring Parnas down for the whole world. But who wants that? That's not the issue on Rosh Hashanah. It's not about getting the Parnasa for the year. I mean, for sure, it's that also. But it's so much about that experience. And so therefore, I know on Rosh Hashanah, at one point, I had this experience where it was by davening, and I was just davening my heart out. I'm just davening, and the words of Rosh Hashanah davening are glorious. And it's just, Malchus, and I just started dancing, and I was just dancing, and I mamish had my eyes closed, and I was like, I'm in front of the king. I saw the king. I saw the just like out there in the room. I was in front, and I was like, the king is being coronated, and I'm one of his princes. Like all the guards and all the servants wouldn't dare move a toe out. They wouldn't dare let their shirt get untucked because it's the coronation of the king. You wouldn't dare mess around with that. But there I was, like, my towel is flying, and I was just in my own little corner, just like dancing my brains out because I'm the son of the king. And the princes are coming in, and the princesses, we're dancing with Melech Malchei Amlach and this Baruch is our Abba. And I was dancing my brains out. And it was that experience and that feeling of like, yeah, like you're my Hashem. You're willing to put your name on me. We just had it in the parsha where Yaakov, Hashem turns to Yaakov, he says Elikei Yitzchak, and like everybody goes wild. How could you say Elikei Yitzchak? Maybe he's gonna turn around and start saying bad stuff. If he's not dead, he can't testify. But yet Hashem, mamish at the beginning of history said, I'm testifying that the Yidden are gonna be mine. Yeah, there's gonna be a Daimi De Esav, and there's gonna be all the sorts of things, and that feeling of Hashem, you're my God, you're our God. No matter what, you're not going to let go of us, and we're not going to let go of you, and we love you, and there's nothing, and we're mamlech you, and that's the whole different Rosh Hashanah. And so therefore, when on Rosh Hashanah, especially going to Uman, then you experience these different experiences, and sometimes on Rosh Hashanah we have things that flipped the whole experience on its head. I remember there was a guy who came over to, I don't remember who, if he said it over to me or somebody said it over from him. Pretty sure I was there when he said it over. Maybe he was saying it to a few people. Anyhow, he was talking about how he came to Uman for his first Rosh Hashanah. And here's a guy who never came late to Minyan. And he never missed a Minyan. You probably could count on one hand the amount of Minyan that he ever missed. And Rosh Hashanah morning, with the plane, the flight, the everything, and he's running around and he wakes up late on Rosh Hashanah morning. And he's like, late on Rosh Hashanah morning. And, you know, even the mamish, the people that don't feel guilty about anything, you wake up late on Rosh Hashanah morning, you feel guilty as sin. You mamish, it's like, and he was unbelievable. And he's running around trying, and every minute he tried to catch, he's just missing, and he's running, and he bumps into Reb Mata. And Mata looks at him, and, you know, a wrestler, even wrestlers that get stressed out about things, in Uman, they're chilled. But Gewalt, we by the Rebbe. And so Reb Mata, sometimes, those that know him, he just has this look of absolute serenity on his face. Nothing in the world needs to happen or be done. It's perfect. And he's standing there and he goes, Mata, I'm going crazy. And he looks, the Rebbe's playing, what did he say?
Kugelach?
The Rebbe's playing, spielt Kugelach mit dir. The Rebbe's playing Kugelach with you. You know, like, open up. Like, yeah, sometimes you come and to break you out of your story, you have to experience a whole new storyline that shatters our preconceived ideas of what Avodas Hashem is. And obviously we don't wish and we don't choose to wake up late on Rosh Hashanah. But when you have these experiences and you go through the darknesses, when we go through chisaron, when we experience breakdown, and then we can open ourselves up and experience Hashem in a new way, and here this Yid will look up and he's like, whoa, I have to accept Hashem in this moment also. There's Hashem's running this moment too. And then you go and you have a davening in Uman where you're singing for hours and just, mamish again, and Nachal, another Arich Yom Masbiyeo, another, and it changes the whole view. And then having the park also was another experience. So I didn't go all the way to the park, but for some of it, but it's also it opens us up. Corona's opening up new realities, new perceptions.
It is. I also had a new experience in Rosh Hashanah this year, where it was so clear to me that Rosh Hashanah, like you said, is so much more than just being judged in my personal things, and it's so much more than just being judged. Rosh Hashanah is opening ourselves up to the experience of what is it to be a Yid from the beginning of the world to the end of the world. I mean, we start and our consciousness expands to encompass the entire history of the universe. What are we here for? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
Mamash.
It's the Zayam Tchilas Maasecha.
Yom Haras Olam.
And then we talk about what's going to be V'chein Tein Pachta, V'chein Tein Kavod, V'chein Tzadikim Yir V'Yismachu, all the way to then, from all the way at the beginning to all the way at the end.
Wow.
And it's all going to be just and righteous and good and all the things that look like Avla. Right, that's Avlasa Kafza Pia. It remind me of the Lashon.
Chalarisha, Kul Kashan.
Yeah.
Mamash. Meloich al kol ha'olam kulei b'chveidacha.
No, we don't say Avlasa. Ailasa
tikvat pia.
Tikvat pia. Ailasa. Interestingly, I always wondered why. We have to find out why it says Ailasa, not Avlasa. Right. There must be something to it. But regardless, it's the entire Yiddishkeit. It's a reset of why am I here? Why am I being Mamlech Hashem?
Right.
Why am I being a Yid?
Why am I alive?
Yeah.
Why is there a world?
Why is there a world? What's it all for?
Mamish.
And that and the focus on justice, especially this year, I felt very strongly the focus on justice and righteousness. That every Friday night we talk about, we sing the songs in Kabbalah Shabbos of what's going to be at the end. These are the songs we're going to sing after Hashem redeems the whole world, after the Geula Acharayna. And we sing that Hashem has come to Yishbot Hevel B'Tzedek. Yeah, so we talk about the kisei over there. We talk about the kisei the throne has been Melech, not Melech Mishra Yamid Eretz, but I can't remember the psukim. Regardless, I always blank on psukim when I'm not right in there. But very much a focus on how there's going to be justice and righteousness in the world, and especially nowadays when the whole world has gone crazy,
Mamash.
and what people think is right and just is so the opposite. It's so wrong. It's so confused. It's so backwards. I'm almost upside down.
We don't even know what's real and right anymore. The truth has been so perverted that it's hard to find anything that's unadulterated truth.
Yeah, and mamish, those words, perverted, adulterated, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The culture is so backwards and upside down. Things that Western culture, American culture celebrate things which are mamish most horrific upside down things, the most demeaning and demoralizing and soul ripping things, and that's celebrated. And truth and justice and people that are fight for the right thing are looked down upon. And you come to Rosh Hashanah, you go, no, Hashem, I don't want any of this. I want there to be truth in the world. I want it to be justice. I want there to be that the people who are being oppressed should not be oppressed, but real and not the fake. And everyone's talking about oppression, and it's so backwards. There's like a kernel of truth there.
There's
a
it's interesting
major
that Esav and Edom really is a major focus on mishpat, right? Gvura is it comes from the side of understanding mishpat, and America came with some of the most amazing gave birth or gave space to some of the most amazing truths that the world has ever seen. You know, the ability, the idea of government for the people, the idea of inalienable rights that a human being has, and even working. I mean, look, they were a country that came and they abolished slavery. That's an incredible thing to be able to come into a world and realize these truths and then bring that and say, we want to live in our country, in our world, and live these certain deeper truths, a right to life, a right to free speech. I mean, all the beautiful, amazing things that America has come and brought, and definitely given something to the world. And obviously it was built on Judeo, Christian beliefs, etc. and so forth. But it was such a powerful and beautiful thing, where now we're seeing the mishpat itself becoming so corrupt. And besides for just, getting right and left, but with the whole Corona thing, so much lies. And every single person took the truths that they heard, or the truths that they thought they were getting from the person before them, and they said, how can I spin it and corrupt it to make me look better? And by the time it gets to the masses, it's just corrupt. You can't even trying to uncover what is real and what is right and what actually will help people and will actually do good for people is so hard. And I know my own self, like at different points I believe different things, and I keep on being open, and then at some point I realized we're not getting truth, and we're living in a world of shaker. And what do you do when you're just in a complete world of shaker? How do you find the truth? Rabbi Nachman says you got to search for it, but and there's ways. What does he talk about? He says you have to search in the words of tefillah itself, right? I don't remember what the Torah was.
This is to work very hard to say, to be real with everything you say. But Rav Nosson says a million times in Likutei Halachos, keep searching for the MS, keep searching for the tzaddik MS, keep searching for what's real, search for real friends. So difficult. It's mamish like the words of the Mishnah in the end of Sota. It says, "Emes tehei ne'ederet." The truth will be missing. But the Gemara says, what does it mean? Emes tehei ne'ederet. Emes tehase adarim will become flocks and flocks, and each group will say, "We have the truth. Wow. We know the truth." And this is exactly what's happening now in the world. There's so many splintered groups that say, "We know what's right. You guys are all wrong." And when you have that many, that's how the truth gets completely lost. Who knows?
It is. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I don't even know. I'm just watching the political scene in America, and we're wondering, like, what is actually going on? It's nuts to see these things. People that we thought were somewhat giving us truth, and it's like, what is even real? Are they even saying real stuff to us? Who knows?
It's wild.
It's so. I keep on coming back to the pasuk in my head of V'alu Meishiyim B'Har Tzion Lishboy That's Esav. There's gonna become a time where there's gonna be a mishpat that's gonna come from Tzion into Har Esav V'Haisa La'Avaya Malucha, and it's gonna bring it out. But who knows what that type of mishpat could look like? Something in general we could think, oh, mishpat just means like they're gonna be judged, but could be it's an aspect of the whole judgment system, meaning how we even differentiate right from wrong, and how we understand it, and how we create our reality, and how we discern truth from falsehood.
Yeah, who are these Moshiim? Usually Hashem is the Moshiach. Hakela
Right.
Moshiach. Who is the Moshiim that are going to go up in Har Tzion? Who are these people? Interesting pasuk.
Yeah, a few people have been saying this. We're talking about who the Moshiach might be. Somebody made a comment about how maybe the Moshiach are, I don't even want to say. To me, I think the Moshiach are the people that are connected to Tzion, right? Tzion is Gematria Yosef, which is Gematria 6 times Havaya, which is Yesod, and from Yesod is where the Malchus becomes manifested, right? All the energy is coming down, and through Yesod, it kind of like sets up the reality, like a computer screen, where a computer screen is the Malchus itself, and then what feeds into it, what's making the screen look a certain way, is the Yesod, is the foundation. It's what's bringing it all out. So maybe the people that are connected to the tzaddikim, they're connected to Midas Yesod, they're connected to Mashiach ben Yosef.
Rashi says Sarei Yisrael. The Sarei Yisrael, the officers of Yisrael. Who knows? Who knows? People? We'll find out, I guess. It's exciting.
The story's unfolding. Mamish.
Hamoshiyim shebahar Tzion himelech hamashiach v'sarav. King Mashiach and his officers. Kasher yalu bahar seir lasos behem mishpat. Akol masha hireu li Yisrael. All they've done to Klal Yisrael.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think also that our relationship with America, I think, from us, the fact that we grew up in America, and there's definitely a big part of my identity that I identify as, American. And there's such beauty and truth that they brought out. And what they did in a country, and then suddenly to see so many of those things being threatened and actually being broken down. One of the things that I think you're the one who said this Torah to me. We know that Reb Chaim Volozhin says that at the end of time, America is going to be the last gullus, and we have to draw that cultural diversity, that acceptance of others. Where is that in America now? It's not there. You don't see that idea of we'll accept the differences, as long as we can all make a few dollars, right? That was the whole idea. Just like, let's build up the economy. Let's make money. Let's make it freedom for everybody. Do your thing. You do your thing. I do my thing. And we'll, and suddenly that's not it at all. Suddenly we're seeing more ferocious attacks of people that are not like you, more and more and more. And it's like, this is, maybe the Nitzitzis have been pulled out.
Yeah, maybe. There are some good people still there. There's a lot of good people in America, a ton.
For sure.
It's interesting. Even I was just listening how Kurt Schilling can't get into the Hall of Fame. Why? Because the baseball writers are the ones in charge, and they're generally left-leaning, and Kurt Schilling is a very right-wing firebrand. His politics don't fit.
Wow.
He's like the greatest postseason pitcher in history, possibly looking by the numbers, and he can't get into the Hall of Fame because we don't like him.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of sports, actually, I guess one of the good things that came out of this whole thing is that I no longer follow basketball. Basketball was my thing. I love the NBA basketball. It's just like, I even just see the Knicks colors, and there's a certain part of me that lights up, and I don't know why or how or what this maybe it's like a geschmack of Avodah Zarah. Your mom can't get it out of your heart, but it was years I couldn't.
It really is bizarre. The whole sports thing. I'm like this. We're just totally segueing into something else. But the whole being a sports fan of a certain team. Like I love sports. I love the reality of it. I love how you're watching the most real thing and you're seeing people put into like the most intense situation and putting themselves on the line. And it's not just the physical; it's also the amount of money and the amount of spotlight.
Right.
It's very cool to see the human nature react in the crucible of all those pressures. But being a fan of one team, where does that come from? Like I would love to switch my fandom away from the Knicks because they're so disappointing for years since I'm a little kid. But I can't. It's just I hear about the Knicks and something good. It's like, oh, the Knicks. It's so interesting. Even I heard stories about Scheinberg, and he was a Yankee fan. And even in his later years, I remember there's a story that he heard on the radio, the Yankees won, and like he said, he felt like, the Yankees.
Right. They say that it was only when he finally didn't. He said one year he said, "I finally can say that the Yankees have no place in my heart," and that was the year the Red Sox won the World Series.
That was the year the Red Sox came back from that crazy. They came all the way back, and they broke the curse of the Bambino.
Mamish said it after Game 2 of the World Series.
It was really the curse of Rav Scheinberg.
Right.
It's all of Scheinberg's fault.
What do you mean? It was weird that he was protecting the Yankees
for years, but then that was it. Ay. But what is it? What is it? This identification? Who knows? It's
shared. I think it's a shared ego. It's like a tribalism, like that. The fact that we can all be members of one squad and we're members of fighting for this one thing, and by being a fan of something bigger. So, I'm not. You have like this shared identity.
But I don't even hang around with people who are into sports. It's like, man, I don't even like talking about sports because honestly, it's embarrassing. If I go like to sit with somebody and be like, "Oh man, your Yankee game and this and that," it's like, really, we're gonna waste our time talking about. I like watching it because it's fun. I like the background. I'll talk about like you have a good hair it comes out of it. You see a guy under pressure and how he reacts and things, and there's an insight into human psychology or something that's interesting. But Stam just to like discuss stats and games, like it's stupid.
Well, I used to, and the NBA burnt me out when it became like politics. That's like been the best thing. I don't even know who played in the finals, which is crazy. Although I kind of do, because I was actually made a comment to somebody, and then they were like, "Oh, come on, you could figure it out." But I remember I couldn't. I think the team from the East was a shocker. I don't remember. LeBron was in the finals, but I don't even care. Like, because it became so, like, I was just like, come on. Like, I want to get into sports. I want to leave everything else behind. Maybe that's also part of it, is that you get to leave your whole life, you get to leave your story, and you just become part of something else. I remember somebody told me they never understood our brother said that he didn't know like what Avodah Zarah was until he was by a Metallica concert, and like they were like, die, and the whole place was just going, but I think it's even what's that, creeping death.
I
think Mamish, all about Makas Becharis, and they were like, but they get into and they go, die, and the whole place was chanting, die, and he looked around them and he's like, oh my god, this could be, they could actually be killing somebody. Like he could suddenly saw it happening, Mamish being Maver, but some guy up there being Maver B'nai L'Melech, like it's crazy. And until you actually see it and you feel that feeling, there's a feeling when you go to a sports game, you're part of like the whole crowd is all wants something to happen, and then when it happens and you exult together, it's an intense experience. It really is.
It's powerful.
Very powerful. The shared consciousness, the shared mind of it affects you. And I think I think that I'm better. See, this is now we're moving into the next thing, which is my mind is jumping to, which is the fact that I live in a world that I've had so many different experiences, and because I have the connection through the computer to so much of the world, I feel like a better Oved Hashem because I've had this. While I could see somebody else looking at me being like, what do you mean? Your heart is metumtam with sports. Like, how could you be Hashem? I'd be like, yeah, but now I know what it means to be like, oh, I want to serve Hashem. I want to be by the base of Mikdash. I want to be there with the incredible music and with thousands and thousands and thousands of Yidden with our eyes on the Avodah of the base of Mikdash and suddenly see it and hear the Kohen Gadol just start saying the Hashem's name, and suddenly we're all just bowing down together and having that shared consciousness where we're all being Avodah Hashem, right? You know,
Yeah, so that's why people like are so tripped out by the Siyam Mashas, which was just less than a year ago, right in MetLife Stadium, and people like, oh, look at the difference. The Goyim come here and we're coming. But the truth is, like, I think we're being ma'ira that there's a certain Nakuda which is shared,
100%.
and we're just lifting it up. It's not just the same Inyan, just in holiness.
Yeah, for sure. And we were talking about that if I remember, somebody was saying by MetLife, one of the Rabbanim got up and said, this was the first time since the base of Migdash that they had such a kibbutz, 90,000 Jews or something. I mean, clearly they didn't make it to Meron and Lag BaOmer. Meron and Lag BaOmer is a wild connection, but in Meron and Lag BaOmer, you're not all saying Amen Yehish Rab at one time. So that I hear, but the kibbutz, even the idea of a kibbutz, idea b'chlal of the kabtzenu, feeling that feeling of joining together, right? In this week's parasha, we have the bracha of ufaratza yam of a kaven of tzafayim of an egba, but then to come back together and to look to the guy next to you and be like, what are you eating? I don't have that Friday night, but I want to try it, you know? And like you bringing it in and we're uplifting all these different, the yama, the kaden, the tzafayim of an egba, and bringing it back home, and suddenly we're having the kibbutz and we're seeing it coming back together.
Yeah, but back to the NBA for 1 minute. I gotta say, there is one thing worth paying attention to in the NBA.
What is that? Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No, not Giannis. Not Giannis. No, our holy brother Yehoshaphat. Yehoshaphat ben Avraham. One of our favorite players of all time, Amari Stoudemire.
Mamish, you should know that I was a fan of Amari when he was rolling the pick and rolls in Phoenix. And
come on, who wasn't?
Yeah, he was amazing. It was awesome, and just it was the best. Those thunderous dunks. And then when he came to New York, a lot of people were like, "Oh, not a good move." I loved it. He came and he set those records. I always loved Amari, and I remember back in the day, I remember hearing it. Somebody was like, "Oh yeah, Amari's like, he's into Judaism and stuff." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, but it also made me. I guess it also probably fed that feeling like, oh, I like him, and when I heard him talk and like the press conferences, it was always like, I like him. There's something about him that I like. And now Baruch Hashem, he came, he's a ger tzedek, and he learned in Or Sameach.
I saw one of the greatest things. Some funny yid on Twitter, he put out a tweet what says, what happened was, whoever doesn't know, Amari is now like a player development coach with the Nets, which is really
to be
cool.
With bracha and atzlacha.
Bracha mazel v'atzlacha. So some funny hit on Twitter put out a tweet, said the real story here is that there's an Avrech who left Kollel to go work at his friend's business in Brooklyn.
Oh, gewalt. That's awesome. L'chaim, Yehoshaphat, and to a lot of chevra. By the way, so many. It's incredible how many chevra have been coming back. Like I've been meeting so many people, so many gerim, so many balei tshuva, but from all walks of life. And obviously to see Amari, Yehoshaphat around, and I mean also Nisim just moved to the neighborhood in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and like just chevra, and just like wow, you're seeing so many different beautiful ideas and insights, and
and great music coming out, like mamash lifting up sparks. Nisim is awesome. Nisim blows my mind. Everything he comes out with, it just blows my mind. His music videos are amazing.
Yeah.
And I love it that they're here in Beit Shemesh. You're like, oh, I recognize that street.
Yeah, somebody, one of our friends, Beinoni, Shmuel Stengi, just shared, what was that song? Was it I was loving it. But some guys I never heard. But Yehoshaphat Amari was one of the singers.
Right, he was in the
But who
song.
were these other guys? Good shout out to them. It was really some
Yeah.
good stuff. Like I was like, wow, it's the lyrics that are funny and they're meaningful and they're bringing it
Right.
out, and good
Great.
hip hop and good beats and good stuff. I was really enjoying it.
Yeah, what I loved so much about it, we'll have to put the link down in the we'll
Mhm.
pop the link down in the bottom after we do this when we put it up. But it's like a chias. You know when you do something. Let me try to be organized my thoughts here. I was just telling my daughter last night that I want to watch Lord of the Rings with her. I haven't watched Lord of the Rings in years. One of my favorite, greatest movies ever. When you watch a movie like that with someone who's never seen it before, so you get his chadras, you like enjoy it for the first time. So when Chaver come and they're experiencing Yiddishkeit and it's fresh for them, it refreshes it for all of us.
100%.
So this song that we were listening to, he's talking about like all the things he's learning and all the
the road to tzaddikim.
road to tzaddikim.
The road to tzaddikim.
And but all about like different things he's learning and different minhagim and going to the shuk and it gives you such a chiyas. It refreshes it for me. And when you have Geir and Bali Tshuva that come in and they're so excited about Yiddishkeit, about every little thing that we do. Like he was even rapping about washing his hands in the morning. And when you think about it, washing your hands, waking up and refreshing and taking off the tumah and preparing your hands for action to do good in the day, waking up from the sleep, it's such an amazing thing. But like, we take it for granted. So many things we take for granted in Yiddishkeit, which we should be blessed to not take anything for granted. But when you have that energy, the Geir and Bali Tshuva energy, it lifts up all of us. It lifts up the people that have been doing this for years. And now it's like, whoa, this is really beautiful. It is refreshing and uplifting and mamasha chidush.
Yeah, in Breslov, it's a known thing. They've been saying for years that the Mikuravim are the ones that bring the fire to Breslov. Like it was like many of the older Breslovers did their avodah quietly and but it wasn't. But the passion and the I remember even with my own self, like when I first met the Torahs of Rabbi Nachman, it was like, whoa, like jumping into an ice cold mikvah with a kavana in your head and you've never been to mikvah and you've never even realized that your mind could actually make in kavanas and intentions, and suddenly you go into and you're like, whoa, it's fresh, it's new, this is amazing, and for sure it's like, and it brings we're all in it together, that shared kirva of Am Yisrael, that when one yid fixes one thing, it picks everybody up, and for sure the new energy is really picking up Am Yisrael, and we need it so badly. We're in such a time of awakening and beauty. There's like an idea that before a new birth we go through there has to be an Ibor period. It feels very much like there's an Ibor period going on in the world right now, that we're in this space where it's like things are kind of shut down, and it's going to give birth to something new. It needs to give birth to something new. Hashem, please let it give birth to mamish, the greatest newness. But we can tap into it. We can tap into that space.
Yeah, mamash. Yeah, and it's interesting, Ibor, even in the sense of when you cocoon yourself,
right,
and you separate a little bit from the world, which is what a lot of us are doing now. And you have to rediscover, like, who am I? It's so interesting. I was talking to my son last night, one of my sons, and we ask ourselves, who are we? Who am I? You start out, especially he's almost bar mitzvah, and you're going to become a man. What does that mean? Who are you? Why are you involved in this whole thing? What does it mean to become a Jewish man? What do I want? And it's so often we get caught up. We think like it's what we do. We identify with what we do. We identify with our with what we're good at.
Right. Our family, with our the external identity.
Yeah, not even talking about like sports teams, which is like, okay, it's so far out. But even like, I'm talented at something. Is that me? Or it's just a gift that was given to me, but who am I really? Right. What makes me? And what do I want? And does that make me what I am, what I want? Or it's something that what I told him was, you probably spend the rest of your life working on this, because there's so many layers within us. We start to uncover, but as we peel away, is it my job? No, it's not my job. Is it what I do? It's not what I do, because sometimes we could not do anything and I'm still still me. So what is it? And I don't have the answer. I can't tell you who am I, because there's some things that some things I'm really good at. So I love them. I identify, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that. But is that really me, or is that just like something? It was a mode in the world that Hashem granted me that I'm able to operate in that way.
Right.
Is it my decisions? Is it my ratzon? It's confusing. It's not so clear. Anyway, what was the point that I was trying to make when I started this? You were talking about the cocooning. So when so many things are stripped away, so much of the shigra of life is stripped away from us, and we're not a regular thing, and we're not, let's say our shul, people identify with the community, with the shul. I'm not in shul, so I don't identify in that way, and I'm not, maybe I don't have my job anymore, my business, which was a major identification for a lot of people, and unfortunately, people lose that. So who am I? What am I? What do I really want? And now that I have this space, hopefully, to look into myself and say, who am I? What am I? What do I really want out of life? And that's the inyan of the cocoon, of the Ibor.
And it's a beautiful thing to have that question being asked. It can be very painful, but it really is a major blessing to ask that question. And the truth is that I feel like I've been asking that question also. I think Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan really opened it up for me. I remember reading, his essays. Those for sure, as a teenager, really began to, give expression to this searching of like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I just listening to other people? Forget it. I'm not listening to other people, right? Like you go through those stages, and then we're desperately searching and desperately trying to find what is it? What am I? They say like Hashem in this world is like the neshama and the guf. I think Gemara says that. And one of the things is like you can't really identify it. But am I my neshama? What does it even mean? Like, what does it mean to be me? I remember when he went through it, he goes, if you lost your leg, are you not you? If you lose your body, at what point do you become not you anymore, not me anymore?
Right.
And when we could begin to even have momentary experiences of more of that inner space. And many times it's not even about knowing what the answer is. It's about the journey within. I definitely feel like over the years, I've kind of begin to create, from the Rabbeim and from learning and from self-exploration, like kind of what that essence is, what that chelek elokam is, what that, the inner observer, that space. But
Har Esav is those external things that you identify with. It ain't you, baby.
Right.
Har Tzion is maybe a little bit that's me.
Right. It's that. Right. It's interesting. It's even an aspect of like the becoming self. Right. There's the part of me that's Havaya, and there's the part of me that's Ekya, and there's a part of me that, right? So there's a part of me that could just be the observer, but there's a part of me that could be, but that's actually becoming, that's actually manifesting right now, that as I'm living life, we're becoming something. That's Rosh Hashanah, right? Back to Rosh Hashanah, man. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkos.
Yep.
I was spelled this year. I was thinking a lot about it. Our last name, Raice, is spelled Raish Yud Samach, which is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkos.
No doubt.
Tripping on that.
Wow.
Anyhow, but yeah, it really is. It's an amazing journey. Amazing journey of finding out who am I? Who are we? What does it mean? What is Knesset Yisrael? Who are we and where are we going, man? What is this story that we're playing?
That's the reset of Rosh Hashanah. Who am I? Who are we? Where are we headed? So, yeah. Anyway, I'm so looking forward to Hanukkah now. I'm looking forward to getting into with you, like all the inyanim that we brought out today about Rosh Hashanah and Kippur Sukkos. How can we bring that forward to Hanukkah? and how could we infuse our Hanukkah with all this good energy that we've been connected to and tapping into. Because Hanukkah often, for me, could be very difficult because the funny yontif is not really major avodas. Like in the morning, I'm sure we'll have halal every day, which will be really nice.
But in the park, yes, anybody who's around should come to that.
Hopefully, it'll be good weather still.
Bezrat Hashem.
But then it's like it's a very small thing to do. Like the avodah of Hanukkah is like you light the menorah and that's it. Like all the things that we do on Hanukkah, yeah, you could sit around by the menorah and things, and all the parties. It's confusing because I've always felt confused by Hanukkah because it's not a yontif, it's a regular day. You have to work. It's 8 days. You need to get your work in. You need to get regular life taken care of still, and it can be often very stressful. Yeah, like we light the Hanukkah menorah right in the middle of the afternoon. Like I have stuff to do. I'm running. I have work. I have this. I have that, and then so sometimes Hanukkah can be complicated. It's hard to really be on what am I supposed to be doing here? What is that voda?
Yeah, I actually was reading Reb Itchemeyer Morgenstern has these svarim that have been coming out, these pamphlets called Bayam Darkecha. And because the Yam HaChachma that Reb Itchemeyer wrote is like huge and big, and it's a lot for many people. It's a little too much, maybe inaccessible for many people. So there are these pamphlets, and in the pamphlets, it's in this Bayam Darkecha, some really good avodas. And one of the things he starts over there in Hanukkah also, like with this idea that, especially the neshama sees that it's coming. Right? We know from the Arizal that it's not that we're celebrating an old thing from many, many years ago. We're celebrating something that's happening now in the world, which is brought into the world in the times of Hanukkah. And the neshama is, and your inner self is getting very excited, like, well, there's something here that I'm supposed to tap into. And like you said, it's really hard to, because there's not a lot of religious action. I don't know what you call them, religious like avoidus, right? And you have like lighting the menorah, but we need to open it up. And when we can open it up, then we can come. Definitely, there have been years that I felt at the end of Hanukkah, on Zois Hanukkah, there have been years that I felt like amazing and like, wow, this Hanukkah was awesome. And there have been years that already on the morning of Zois Hanukkah, I'm like, okay, Hanukkah's over. I feel like stinky about it. And for sure, we need to make kalim. But the good lesson from Hanukkah is that even if we have very, very little kalim, they might last for a very long time. Yeah. And Bezrat Hashem. We're definitely. I'm happy that we're back together. I'm happy that we're able to record together again. And Bezrat Hashem, we're gonna be getting some good podcasts out. Bezrat Hashem, and l'chaim.
All right, keep an eye out for the pre-Hanukkah podcast. We're gonna have to get into that.
Amen. Be blessed.
All right,
L'chaim.
Peace
Peace and love.